in. When you're washed, you're washed. When you're accepted, you're accepted. And you start there, and you stay there, and you live there. Yeah? It's just really important, people. Because it's really important. If we can't, listen, animosity in our homes. I'm talking about not laying down your life for another, living at the expense of another. That's twisted, right? James says, watch what James says. Slow to speak, slow to anger, quick to listen. What have most of us been most of our life? Got a whole lot to say, ticked off, and don't want to hear it. That is not an accident. That the things the Bible calls us to, we have lived 180 degrees the opposite. It's because we were trained by a lie. We were born into the fall of man, and you must be born again. So we were trained by the wisdom of the world. We were trained by the spirit of the age. I preach this everywhere I go, all the time, over and over, at the risk of being redundant, but it's not redundant. It's a truth that we need to grip. When we were all born, not one of us knew who we were or had a speck of identity. That's why people hold on to their past so strong, because it's the only place they ever found any sense of identity, whether it's good or bad. Because they need a sense of belonging. They track their roots. They track all this stuff because they feel empty and driven, and they're trying to find some sense of belonging. Oh yeah, it's true. From the time you were born, as little back as you can remember, you had no idea who you were. You needed things in your life like stability, support, valued, appreciation. You needed consistency, and a lot of us didn't have hardly any of those things because of just where people are living. And your parents might have been good parents, but a lot of us were missing a lot of things that we vitally needed. Some of us weren't missing those things that much, but the truth is our identity was being painted by life unfolding. You began to come in touch with who you thought you were along the way. And as you became conscious and aware and self-conscious, you handled things, you were thrown into things, you reacted to things, you pulled back from things. You got laughed at when you were little. You either became introverted and broken, or you became hard and a fighter. But neither way you responded, no matter how you responded, it wasn't the real you. It was just who you responded to. And this thing started molding you and shaping you like clay. But life is not the great potter. And this thing is shaping you and molding you. And at a short time into life, I'm talking a short time into life, you begin to think you are this, and you start labeling yourself, and people label you. Oh, well, I'm just quiet. Oh, I'm a loud, outgoing. And then we do personality types and studies, and we have numbers and letters to name people. Tags. And none of it is the truth. We're studying a fallen man who doesn't even know the Lord. And then we get tricked into saying, this is us. And we do the studies, and we bring psychology into Christianity. And well, yeah, brother, you know how people are, but how is Christ in people? But what about Christ in people? Yeah, but you know how we are, brother. Well, how is he in me? Don't bother with me with how we are. I died to that. I want to know how I am in him and how he is in me. I want to know what life in him is like. You know why suicide is one of the biggest tragedies, in my opinion, the biggest expressions of deception on the earth? Because men get tricked into taking something that never was theirs in the first place. Well, it's my life. I'll do with it what I want. It never was your life. It was designed to always be his life in you. And when you take your life, you're actually taking his life in you, and you are taking into your own hands the quenching of potential, purpose, and destiny. You yourself are cutting off legacy, and you're taking something that was never fully yours. Why do you think the trap is so strong? Why do you think there's so many that get tricked? Why do you think those numbers are at all-time highs? Because the self-centered delusion is rampant, and it's always about they weren't there for me, feel sorry for myself, I'll get even, I'll make it hurt, they'll regret the day they burned me, I'll hope they don't feel so bad. There's so many different motives behind suicide, and it's all tragically, deeply steeped in self-centered focus. It's not always just a disheartened person. Sometimes it's an angry person. Sometimes it's a person full of unforgiveness, and they want to brutally hurt the people that hurt them and do the extreme, so they have to deal with it for the rest of their life. Those motives are everywhere, people. Do you hear how anti-kingdom they are? You say, why are you talking about this? To let us know that when you get born again, you are invited into total absolute change. And total absolute change is what we're called to, but we can't change ourselves, but we have to be willing for it. That's why Todd is preaching constantly in this ministry, relationship, the secret place, go into him. That's why when I've taught all my whole Christian life, I talk about being with him and giving your heart to him. And Father, thank you for another amazing day. I so appreciate you living in me. I thank you that who you are is who I am on the inside. When I look through my eyes, I see what you see. God, I thank you that I always see men through your eyes and see what you've always beheld. Father, I thank you no one today owes me anything, and stress and strife has no voice or power. God, thank you for your Holy Spirit. I welcome you, Spirit of God. Lead me today in light. Lead me today in truth. Thank you for your life. That's prayer, guys.